Leadership often brings to mind loud voices, bold gestures, and commanding presence. Yet, history and human experience tell a different story. Some of the most influential leaders have moved mountains with a whisper rather than a roar. There's a subtle power in calm conviction, in decisions made with quiet certainty, and in presence that commands attention without demanding it. Being the leader of the crowd doesn't always mean overpowering others. It often means guiding them with a still, steady hand, inspiring trust and respect through the depth of your character rather than the volume of your voice. Stoicism, the philosophy of inner strength and clarity, has long explored this paradox of quiet leadership. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca emphasized mastery over oneself, understanding human nature, and acting with virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This teaches that leadership begins from within by embodying integrity, patience, and courage, qualities that quietly ripple out to influence and inspire others. Stoicism reminds us that true authority is earned, not boasted, and that the strength of a leader can often be measured by the calmness they bring to chaos. In life, we often look for signs of leadership in the loudest voices in the room, overlooking the power of quiet influence. There are countless tales, folk stories, historical accounts of individuals whose mere presence, thoughtful words, or measured actions shifted the course of events without fanfare. So, how does someone cultivate this silent authority, commanding the respect of a crowd without needing to shout over them? This is the question that sets the stage for exploring practical wisdom, drawn from Stoic philosophy, to become a leader who moves hearts and minds with quiet strength. If the idea of leading with quiet strength speaks to you, don't let the conversation end here. Hit that subscribe button to stay part of this journey. Give a like to show you value the wisdom shared, and drop a comment with your thoughts, experiences, or questions. Every interaction isn't just feedback. It's a way to strengthen your own voice, engage with a community of curious minds, and take the first step toward becoming the kind of leader who inspires without shouting. Number 1. Use polite imperative sentences. Speak with respect and let your words carry weight without shouting. Stoics believed that authority comes not from volume, but from the clarity and intention behind your speech. Seneca once said, "True eloquence is the art of being understood and remembered, not the art of being heard." Imagine a village elder guiding a restless crowd with calm requests. Please gather around, consider this path, reflect before you act. Each sentence is a bridge between minds, creating cooperation instead of conflict. Polite imperatives, softly delivered, shape action without forcing it, and teach the crowd to follow your reasoning rather than your noise. Observe how leaders in history have influenced masses with gentle commands. Mahatma Gandhi didn't need armies or shouting. His quiet insistence, respectful appeals, and persistent example moved millions. The Stoics teach us that influence stems from alignment of word and action. When you ask politely yet firmly, you invite trust, and trust is the unseen force that makes crowds listen. Even in ordinary life, think of a teacher who calmly says, "Please pay attention," versus one who yells. It's the quiet one whose students remember and respect her the most. Polite imperatives also cultivate self-respect and composure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." By framing requests with integrity and care, you not only guide others but reinforce your own discipline and ethical strength. Each carefully chosen word becomes a reflection of your internal authority. A quiet, considerate voice signals confidence, maturity, and vision, qualities that draw others to follow voluntarily. So practice speaking softly but decisively, requesting action instead of demanding it. Picture yourself in a crowded market or a heated meeting. A calm voice asking, guiding, and directing with care can accomplish what shouting never could. Polite imperatives turn speech into leadership, transforming your quiet voice into a tool for respect, influence, and lasting impact. By mastering this subtle art, you step closer to the kind of leadership that Stoics admired: powerful, enduring, and silent, like a river shaping the land without ever raising its voice. Number 2. Leave short pauses between sentences. Speak slowly and let silence punctuate your words. Stoics understood the power of measured speech, where meaning emerges not just from what is said, but from the spaces in between. Imagine a storyteller by a fire, weaving a tale. Every pause lets the listeners breathe, imagine, and absorb. Seneca once noted, "Every word that is wasted diminishes our authority. Pause and choose carefully what you give weight to." A short pause between sentences allows your audience to process your ideas, building anticipation and focus, turning a quiet voice into one that commands attention. Think of leaders who didn't shout to be heard, yet every word resonated. Abraham Lincoln, for example, was known for his deliberate pauses, letting his thoughts settle in the minds of those listening. The Stoics remind us that influence is subtle. Authority grows when the listener feels they have space to reflect. In conversation or speech, a pause is like a heartbeat. It gives rhythm, signals confidence, and makes your words more memorable. Even a folktale about a village elder who pauses before giving advice shows this. The crowd leans in, waits, and then follows willingly. Pauses also signal self-control and patience, key Stoic virtues. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "He who is calm is able to listen, to see, and to act rightly." Each pause is an exercise in composure, showing that your voice doesn't need to shout to matter. The quiet moments between sentences allow the audience to feel your certainty and reflect on your guidance. Like a river cutting through rock, a measured voice shapes understanding steadily, not violently. So, practice leaving space in your speech. In a crowded room, in a heated discussion, or when giving advice, a short pause can make all the difference. It transforms simple words into tools of influence, letting your quiet voice become the center of attention without force. By embracing this subtle Stoic strategy, you step closer to leading the crowd not through noise but through presence, thoughtfulness, and the invisible strength of calm authority. Number 3. Smile rarely, but when you do, be meaningful. A smile can be louder than any voice if it carries intention. Stoics understood that gestures, like words, gain power through restraint. Picture a wise village elder who rarely smiles, but when he does, the entire community pauses to notice. Seneca once said, "He who is sparing in his actions commands more than he who is lavish." A meaningful smile draws attention, signals authenticity, and conveys confidence that no words can match. It is the quiet leader's secret weapon, a subtle way to connect, inspire, and influence without raising the volume. Rare, intentional smiles create rhythm and gravity. Think of historical figures like Abraham Lincoln or Marcus Aurelius, whose calm demeanor and rare expressions communicated authority and depth. People lean in, pay attention, and feel a subtle pull towards someone who doesn't constantly seek approval. In folktales, the silent hero's rare smile often signals a turning point, a moment when wisdom and courage shine, and the crowd instinctively follows. The Stoics believed that moderation in all things, including expressions, enhances impact. Smiling with meaning also shows emotional intelligence and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." A smile, carefully placed, communicates control over emotions, even in tense situations. It reassures, calms, and demonstrates that leadership is not about dominating through force or noise, but guiding through measured presence and understanding. A quiet leader's rare smile can transform tension into trust, hesitation into loyalty. So, choose when to smile and let it carry purpose. In a crowded room, a heated discussion, or a challenging decision, a well-timed smile can say more than 1,000 words. By embracing this Stoic strategy, you turn a subtle expression into a form of authority, proving that even a quiet voice can lead, influence, and inspire when paired with restraint, intention, and genuine presence. Number 4. Have calm and controlled hand movements. Your hands can speak louder than your voice if you let them. Stoics believe that gestures reveal the state of the mind. A leader whose hands are calm, deliberate, and measured signals composure and confidence without saying a word. Picture a general on a battlefield, raising his hand slowly to halt the charge his soldiers follow instantly, not out of fear, but trust. Seneca said, "He who masters himself masters all." Controlled hand movements are a reflection of mastery over emotion and thought, quietly guiding the crowd without force. Consider how storytellers, preachers, or village elders have captivated audiences for generations. Their hands move with intention, highlighting the right moments, pausing when the tension peaks, and staying still when words alone are enough. Folktales often describe heroes whose subtle gestures command attention, as if the crowd reads meaning in every motion. The Stoics emphasized that external gestures, when aligned with inner virtue, enhance authority and credibility. Hand movements also act as emotional anchors for both the speaker and the audience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A calm hand movement reflects a steady mind and reassures those watching. In tense moments, a slow, intentional gesture can turn chaos into order, hesitation into confidence, and fear into focus. Even without a raised voice, the crowd senses your inner balance and instinctively follows. So, practice the art of deliberate gestures. In meetings, speeches, or everyday interactions, let your hands move with purpose, mirroring the calm of your mind. Each motion becomes a silent signal of authority, reinforcing that leadership is not about volume or aggression, but presence, intention, and mastery. Through this subtle art, a quiet voice can lead powerfully, commanding respect and attention with every carefully controlled movement. Number 5. Never repeat yourself for approval. True authority doesn't beg for validation. Stoics understood that repeating yourself to gain approval diminishes your presence and unsettles the crowd's perception of your confidence. Imagine a quiet village elder giving advice. If he repeats his words unnecessarily, people start questioning his certainty. But when he speaks once, with clarity and conviction, every word carries weight. Seneca wrote, "It is not the loudness of words, but the firmness of purpose that impresses." A quiet voice that trusts itself commands far more than one that constantly seeks affirmation. Consider leaders and storytellers who captivated listeners without over-explaining. Folktales often celebrate the hero who speaks once and acts decisively. The crowd remembers and follows without hesitation. Repetition for approval signals doubt, while restraint communicates authority. Stoics emphasize that inner conviction is mirrored in outward behavior. The fewer the words, the sharper their impact, and the more the audience trusts the leader's judgment. Avoiding repetition also cultivates respect for yourself and for others. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Speaking once with honesty and purpose reflects discipline and mastery. The audience senses the integrity behind each word, understanding that your voice isn't used for applause, but to guide, influence, and enlighten. In tense moments, a single, confident statement can steer minds and hearts far more effectively than constant reiteration. So, embrace the strength of a single, deliberate voice. In meetings, discussions, or everyday life, let your words be enough on their own. By refusing to repeat for approval, you cultivate an aura of quiet authority, showing that leadership isn't measured by volume or reassurance, but by clarity, intention, and the courage to trust yourself. A quiet voice, confident and unwavering, becomes the one the crowd instinctively follows. If you stayed with me until the end, you've taken the first step toward understanding a different kind of leadership, one that doesn't rely on volume, applause, or constant validation. True influence comes from quiet confidence, deliberate action, and integrity in every word and gesture. Remember, leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the presence that others instinctively trust and follow. Carry these Stoic lessons with you and watch how a calm, intentional voice can move crowds, inspire minds, and leave a lasting impact far beyond the noise.